Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Caitlin McKeag. I am a Phoenix real estate broker. I got a new look going on today for my Monday market update. I am going to share with you guys everything that I'm talking about through my computer today instead of the whiteboard. Might be a little bit easier for everyone to see, as well as easier for me to navigate, but you're gonna have to bear with me because this is a bit of new technology, and I might fumble a little bit. If you're new here, I'm Caitlin McKeag, a Phoenix real estate broker, and every Monday I have an update on what's going on in the Phoenix real estate market, as well as what's going on just in the broader economy as well, because we all know that that affects how real estate operates. So let's talk about what's going on. First, I'm going to share my screen. And again, you just have to bear with me here for a second as I get the right screen up. But we're going to start by talking about the economy, of course. And one of the biggest things that happened last week was this jobs report. Holy cow, July jobs report, US added 528,000 new jobs as unemployment rate fell to 3.5%. This was a huge amount of jobs added and way off of any of the estimates that were out there. Non-farm payrolls jumped 528,000 in July. Employment in June was revised up to 398,000 gain. Employment rate fell to 3.5%, matching a 5-decade low. That went down again, not something that they were expecting. The median estimates in a Bloomberg survey of economists called for a $250,000 payrolls gain, and for the jobless rate to hold at 3.6%. So totally not what happened. That was pretty surprising. And so how is that affecting things? This Wall Street Journal article is saying, by defying expectations of an economic slowdown, the report will make it harder for the Federal Reserve to dial back the pace of rate increases at its meeting next month. So the Fed doesn't meet until September, but this is certainly not helping the case for them to stop raising the federal funds rate. This is really an interesting, data point, because all they're trying to do is stop inflation and slow down the economy a bit, and yet we have this super tight labor market that doesn't seem to falter all that much. We'll see what they do. That says, from a Fed perspective, this report says, let's keep pressing on the policy brake because inflation is uncomfortably high. There has been some talk about layoffs, though, and hearing a little bit about that from a few different companies. I think this article touches on it somewhere in here, talking about how Walmart had announced some layoffs this week, Robinhood Markets, I think Amazon did as well. So even though, it just doesn't jive together, right? Where the jobs market is and what we're trying to do with the economy. But we'll see what happens. There's a lot of moving pieces. This week, we're going to get the new inflation data. So I don't see that being too much better than what it's been in the past, but who knows? I could be surprised. So all of these things are playing a role into how real estate is affected, and what we see in terms of interest rates as well. So let's talk about that. This article here, mortgage rates finally sink back below 5%, and home prices are cooling off too amid a market reset. Now, this is somewhat misleading because from everything that I know, I don't know that rates are the best they've ever been as we closed this week. Last week, I think rates were a little bit better because that jobs report kind of sent things into a tizzy. So, but mortgage rates have improved at where they're at today as compared to May, and we're not seeing such high increases in mortgage rates either. So, maybe we're coming to a peak of rates. That's kind of been the talk. Not sure if that's true or not. We'll see. But at least we're not having these huge gains in mortgage rates. And prices are definitely softening, not just here in Phoenix, but all around the country in most markets, there is some softening. So if we could keep rates at a place where they're not highly unaffordable, and if prices could start to soften, I think we may start to see a little bit more activity in the real estate market as well. But that remains to be seen. Oh my gosh, I forgot to add, hey, look at that, my little Monday market update headline. All right, so let's start digging into what's happening in Phoenix. And if you're new here, I always reference the Cromford report. I'm a subscriber to the Cromford report. They analyze a ton of data in the MLS, the Phoenix MLS, and help realtors, understand what's going on. And one of the things that they have that is so helpful that I share every week is the Cromford Market Index. And this really helps us look at supply and demand factors in the market, and give us an update on where prices are going and some indication of, what that balance or lack of balance looks like. So I'm going to share some information related to that so we can talk more about the CMI. Let me get to the correct window here. I'll get faster at this, I promise. All right, we're starting here. And I'm going to switch this out. Look how fancy this is. So if you're new to the CMI, the way that this is measured, anywhere between 90 to 110 is considered like a balance, normal market. 110 and above is a seller's market, and 90 and below is a buyer's market. And so here we are right here at 118.6. So technically still in a seller's market, although it certainly doesn't feel that way in most places. Our supply is at 67.7. So again, if we're looking at 100 being that like normal range, our supply is about 33% below normal. And then our demand is about 20% below normal. So the demand is really what's been hurting us lately. That continues to creep down, although it seems like maybe it's slowing a little bit. I'll talk about that in a second, but this is where we stand with the Cromford Market Index. So barely hanging on to a seller's market right now. And this is for the entire Phoenix metro area. But we're going to dive a little bit deeper here. Let's look at every major city throughout the Phoenix area. Take this off so you can see. So you can see these three here at the bottom. We've got Maricopa, Queen Creek, and Buckeye. Those three areas have been in a buyer's market. They were the first to get there. Buckeye at 64.8, that is well below the 90 to 110 range. So they are certainly in a buyer's market. We've got Queen Creek around that same range, and then Maricopa a little bit higher, but technically still in a buyer's market. And then everything above that. So we've got our Gilbert, Tempe, Surprise, Chandler, I forgot the D on that, Peoria, Glendale, Phoenix, and Mesa. All of those are in balance right now, but a few of them are a little bit closer to hitting that buyer's market pretty quickly. I believe Gilbert, Tempe, and Surprise are the three that the Cromford report had called out, saying that they're looking ready to become buyer's markets within days. And then we've got Avondale and Goodyear that are looking to move into a balanced market pretty quickly. So they're right up here, 120 to 115. So if that stays the same, that's, or if we continue in this direction, then we're probably going to see balance from those two cities. Now, what's different now this week is that we actually only had a 31% decline month over month in the CMI when we look at it this week. And last week, I think it was 32. And then the weeks before that, it was around 34, 35%. And it had been accelerating week over week. So finally starting to see a slowdown in how much this seller market has been deteriorating, which is positive news that we're not like flying into this insane market that's crashing, for lack of a better term, because things are starting to slow down. And I also want to show you the CMI graph so you can see what that looks like, because it's pretty telling how it's starting to slow down. But before we get there, I just wanted to make a few more notes on this. So the CMI change has slowed down a little bit. We've also seen new listings starting to slow down coming on the market as well. And I'm going to share what that looks like. So, it's hard to know if things are going to continue, but it certainly seems like we're starting to see some slowdown, some resistance towards this deteriorating seller's market. Demand is also falling at a slower rate, and even rising in a few places, according to the Cromford report. So if we start to see these cities here, if we start to see something that is not a decline for once, and it actually goes back up, these arrows are going to turn green and go upwards. And the last time that we saw any green arrows on there was April 21st of 2022. So it's been a little time since we've seen, but if you haven't been watching these updates, I will tell you all of these arrows used to be green and upward. Now they're all red and down. But it's been a bit since we've seen any green arrows on here. So something to keep in mind, that we may start to see a few things go up if we've got some changes on the way, but who knows for sure. They are also saying that currently our demand is so far below normal that in most areas it would take a large increase to get to the level where we could absorb a normal quantity of new listings. So they're talking about demand there, that our demand is so low that even if it started to increase, we still have all these new listings on the market that we weren't used to, as well as the demand going down, that it's really going to take a pretty big transition for us to get anywhere near where we used to be. I don't even think that's on the table, but to get closer towards balance, more so than this buyer's market trajectory that we're on. So let's talk about, let me show you the CMI here. I got to share a different screen. Here we go. This is what I wanted to show you guys, the CMI. So you can see how much of a change there was between dots. These were really spaced out, showing that there was week over week a pretty big decline. And now, not only are these dots a little bit closer together, but that curve doesn't look so steep now, does it? So that's starting to slow down, maybe plateau, maybe, I don't know. Keep in mind, so, we're at 118, that is for Phoenix Metro as a whole. So there are cities like Buckeye that is way into a buyer's market right now. So things are different in every area, but overall, when we look at everything, like maybe we're just going to slow down and hang out in balance for a while. I don't know. I like this visual though, because it helps us see where we came from, where we're at now, and possibly where we're going. Now, they talked a little bit about new listings also, and how those have not been coming on the market quite as quickly as they had been when all of this crazy changing started. So we look back in April, the green line here is 2022. So we had about 10,000 new listings that month in April. And then in May, about 11,000. So that was climbing, 12,000 in June, and then July, 10,000. So not getting quite as many new listings. This was the peak, and in my opinion was like the FOMO sellers trying to hit the peak, but what they didn't realize was the peak was about right there, or even March, April-ish. So I think that's what this increase of new listings was, and then we're back down, and this month is very new, so we can't even really look at that yet, but we'll see how new listings start to look as we move forward, and whether or not we're even going to get to this 10,000 new listings like we got last month. So that's something to pay attention to, because that is really going to affect how things progress, whether we have enough listings on the market or not, and whether we have the demand to absorb all of those new listings. So thanks for your patience, you guys. I hope that this was valuable and helpful. And of course, if you have any questions as it relates to real estate, you can reach out to me anytime, call, text, or email. My information is in the description below. I also have a link where you can set up a time to chat with me, as well as a free home value, instant home value link, and a link to my MLS. All the good stuff is in the description, so check that out. And comment, let me know, what do you think about this new format, and should I do it live once I get my stuff together on all of this? Thanks for joining me, guys. I hope you have a great week. I'm Caitlin McKegg with the Desert Dreamers team at HomeSmart.